What if you could walk into any room and instantly command respect without saying a word? What if your energy alone could shift the atmosphere and make people take notice? And what if this power came not from status or appearance, but from something far deeper, your inner presence? Think about how it feels to be in a space where everyone turns their attention to you, not because you're loud, flashy, or overly confident, but because there's a quiet strength in the way you carry yourself. Have you ever wished for that? To be truly seen, to be genuinely respected, to be valued not for what you can give, but simply for who you are. You're not alone. In today's noisy world, many people feel like they're fading into the background, ignored, overlooked, or even invisible. It's a painful feeling, as if your true worth is hidden behind a fog no one seems willing to look through. But here's the truth. This isn't your destiny. You're not doomed to be unnoticed. You have the power to change how you show up in the world and how the world responds to you. Today, we begin a journey of personal transformation. And it's not an easy one. It requires real commitment, deep self-reflection, and the kind of inner strength that only comes from discipline. But we're not doing this blindly. We'll be guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. With that foundation, we're going to build something unshakable. A presence that doesn't rely on words, compliments, or outside approval. A presence built on clarity, self-mastery, and principles that don't waver when things get tough. This isn't about craving attention. It's about embodying a mindset that naturally commands respect without needing to ask for it. And when you develop that mindset, everything begins to shift. You grow stronger, calmer, more grounded. You no longer chase validation. Instead, people are drawn to you, and they respect you, not just for what you do, but for who you've become. In this video, we're going to uncover 10 powerful strategies, all rooted in Stoic wisdom. These aren't just tools to change how others see you. They're practices that transform how you see yourself. So stay with me. Watch until the end. This is your moment to take back your power, to stand tall, and to become someone who no longer waits to be noticed, but instead radiates undeniable worth. Let's begin by uncovering the first strategy, a mindset shift that may seem subtle, but holds the power to change everything. Now that we've laid the foundation, let's dive into the first step on this journey, one that begins not with others, but with yourself. A powerful presence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. It's shaped, nurtured, and eventually recognized by others. This isn't about creating a temporary impression that fades once you leave the room. It's about crafting a lasting presence, one that lingers in people's minds, one that speaks for you even in your absence. So, are you ready to begin? Say it out loud, even type it below. I'm ready. Let that be your declaration. Start of your personal transformation. Strategy number 1. Mastering the art of self-care. Offer real value to others. You must first create that value within yourself. You can't give what you don't have. Someone who neglects their own well-being won't be able to provide real strength, wisdom, or compassion to the people around them. That's why self-care isn't a luxury, it's the foundation of a life lived with purpose, resilience, and quiet confidence. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't view self-care as pampering or indulgence. They saw it as a disciplined practice, an intentional act of preparation. To care for yourself is to arm your mind and body against life's inevitable challenges. 1. The foundation of self-awareness. Your first task: know yourself. Understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your desires. Recognize what fills you with energy and what silently drains you. Self-awareness isn't about narcissism. It's about aligning your habits with your core values. Socrates famously said, "Know thyself." And Marcus Aurelius echoed the idea by writing, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." So if your ambition is to live with strength, serenity, and resilience, you must first create the right inner environment to support that life. 2. The discipline of physical self-care. Your body is your vehicle for this life. When neglected, it falters when you need it most. That's why the Stoics place such emphasis on physical health, not to look good, but to endure hardship, to fulfill duties, and to stay strong under pressure. A strong body fuels a strong mind. That means simple, nourishing food, regular, consistent movement, prioritizing sleep and recovery. These are not surface-level routines, they're survival rituals. When your body breaks down, your mind follows. And without physical strength, even your best intentions can fall apart. 3. The strength of mental and emotional renewal. But self-care doesn't end with the body. The mind and spirit also demand tending. Life will shake you. It's inevitable. And if you haven't fortified your inner world, you'll crack under pressure. That's why the Stoics practice daily reflection, periods of solitude, and exercises like journaling or reading to sharpen the mind. It's how they built inner peace bit by bit. That peace becomes a quiet confidence, a calm energy that others notice without you needing to say a word. Have you ever met someone who radiated composure, who seemed genuinely at ease with themselves? That's what you're building. True self-care gives you that silent strength, the ability to find contentment alone, to feel whole in stillness. That is power most people never develop. 4. The enduring journey of self-mastery. Remember, this isn't a one-time project. Self-care is a lifelong discipline. You will falter. You will fall into old habits. You'll occasionally seek praise or lose your balance. But the Stoic path teaches us to return to ourselves, reset, realign, recommit. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, our life is what our thoughts make it. If your thoughts tell you that you are unworthy of care, your life will reflect that belief. But if you believe you are valuable, you'll begin to treat yourself accordingly, and the world will follow. Recognition won't need to be chased. It will come as a natural result of your energy and presence. That is the power of self-care. It's not about trying to make others admire you. It's about becoming someone who's already valuable, someone whose presence is quietly, undeniably respected. Once you begin investing in yourself with clarity and intention, something remarkable happens. Your presence transforms. You no longer need to seek respect. You become someone who quietly earns it. There's something undeniably powerful about a person whose discipline commands attention, whose calm strength doesn't shout but speaks volumes. When you care for yourself, not to impress others, but to pursue a life of purpose and excellence, you begin to carry a presence that naturally draws admiration. This is the essence of true self-care, not indulgent or selfish, but grounded in intention and strength. Strategy number 2. Cultivate calmness and composure. We live in a world that glorifies urgency. Everywhere you look, people are rushing, reacting, speaking before thinking. In this environment, staying calm is no longer just admirable, it's rare, and it's powerful. The Stoics understood this deeply. Their goal wasn't to erase emotion, but to rise above impulsiveness, to respond, not react. They believed in mastering emotions so that decisions were rooted in wisdom, not in the heat of the moment. Seneca, one of the most revered Stoic thinkers, offered a simple yet profound solution to anger. Delay is the best remedy. It's in that pause, in that deliberate, measured stillness, that real power lies. Imagine this. You're running late to an important meeting. As you enter, all eyes turn. Some are annoyed, others judgmental. Your gut reaction might be to rush an apology, defend yourself, or let stress overwhelm you. But the Stoic response: breathe, observe, own your space with composure. Because in that stillness, you reclaim control over the only thing that is truly yours, your reaction. Remaining calm doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've trained yourself to act from principle, not panic. It's a form of quiet leadership. In chaos, people instinctively follow those who remain composed, not because they are loud, but because their centered presence offers clarity. The power of stillness in a noisy world. Modern life constantly pulls us in every direction. Notifications, arguments, distractions, they never stop. And yet, each day offers us a choice. Will we be thrown off by the chaos? Or will we ground ourselves like a tree in the storm, rooted, present, unshaken? Stillness isn't passive. It's active discipline. It's listening before speaking, thinking before reacting. There's a line from Scripture that echoes this truth: be still and know that I am God. Silence, when chosen intentionally, becomes a source of immense power. The one who always needs to respond, explain, or prove themselves reveals a lack of control. But the one who pauses, reflects, and responds with clarity, that person carries authority. By creating mental space, you begin to recognize emotional patterns, identify your triggers, and choose how you show up in the world. Strength through emotional clarity, not suppression. Some people see calmness as weakness or passivity, as if not reacting means you're backing down. But Stoic calm isn't surrender, it's strategy. It's understanding what deserves your energy and what doesn't. When you stay grounded, you act with intention. You don't let fear or anger hijack your actions. Those who erupt in rage or spiral in fear become prisoners to their emotions. But those who master calmness gain freedom to choose, to lead, to influence with presence rather than noise. Think about the people you truly admire, leaders, mentors, historical icons. Chances are, they didn't scream to be heard. They didn't panic in tough times. They observed. They stayed calm. And because of that, others listened. That's the impact of calmness. Your words begin to carry more weight. Your silence becomes meaningful. People look to you not because you force attention, but because your presence demands it. Mastering time by mastering yourself. There's one more truth the Stoics knew well. When you master your emotions, you master your time. You stop wasting energy on drama, on what you can't control. And instead, you direct your effort toward what truly matters. Time isn't just measured by clocks. It's measured by the quality of your presence. Each moment you choose stillness over chaos, clarity over confusion, you reclaim time and power. And in that space, you evolve into someone others trust, admire, and learn from. Once you've trained yourself to remain calm in the storm, the next step is to ensure that every moment of stillness leads somewhere meaningful, because time, unlike anything else, is slipping through your hands. Strategy number 3, mastering the value of time. Time is the single most valuable resource we possess. Unlike money, status, or material things, once time is gone, it's gone for good. And yet, many people live as though time is limitless. carelessly spending it on distractions, emotional outbursts, and thoughtless reactions to outside noise. Stoics, however, saw time differently. To them, it was more precious than gold and unrenewable currency that had to be guarded and spent with care, intention, and purpose. The eye of the storm, standing still amid the chaos. Picture yourself standing in the center of a storm. Around you, the world is spinning, people rushing, emotions rising, confusion spreading like wildfire. But you're calm, you're steady, you're unmoved. That is the Stoic ideal. It's not that chaos disappears, it's that you remain untouched by it. You act only when needed, not out of panic, but out of principle. Because while we can't control the storms of life, we can always control how we sail through them. This is what it means to value your time. It's not about squeezing more into every hour, it's about refusing to let your moments be stolen by fear, drama, or distraction. When you act deliberately, you shape your time. And when you shape your time, you shape your life. Composure commands respect. There's a natural magnetism to those who stay calm under pressure. Think about it. Who do people trust in a crisis? The one who panics, or the one who remains grounded? Imagine a company on the brink of collapse. Anxiety is spreading. People are unsure if the business will survive. In this moment, a reactive leader acting on fear might fan the flames of panic. But a wise leader, rooted in Stoic principles, steps in with clarity. They speak calmly, offer facts, dismantle rumors, and lay out a plan. What happens next? Uncertainty begins to fade. Fear turns into focus. And that leader earns not just respect but loyalty and trust. This isn't limited to business. In every part of life, family, friendships, community, your ability to remain composed determines whether you're seen as a steady force or as part of the chaos. Practical steps to cultivate calmness and protect your time. To manage your time, you must first manage yourself. Every impulsive reaction, every scattered thought, every distraction chips away at your focus and drains your energy. Here are 5 Stoic strategies to help you reclaim that control. Accept the pause in stressful moments. Don't rush to react. Take a breath. A few seconds of silence can be the difference between saying something you regret and responding with strength. That small pause is where your power lies. Practice mindfulness. Your mind, like the ocean, must be calm to reflect clearly. Daily mindfulness through meditation, deep breathing, or quiet reflection builds a strong inner foundation. With practice, you'll remain composed even when life is turbulent. Control what you can. Most things in life lie outside your control. Worrying about them wastes precious time. Instead, focus on your choices, your mindset, and your responses. This is your domain. Own it fully. Shift your perspective. Every challenge is an opportunity in disguise. Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, view them as chances to strengthen your values. Each difficulty is a training ground for patience, wisdom, and discipline. Reflect and learn. Every day is a teacher. Take time to examine how you responded to situations. Where did you react instead of reflect? What can you do better next time? A Stoic doesn't just survive hardships, they learn from them. That's how time becomes wisdom. The Stoic mindset. Why time is the ultimate currency. Stoicism doesn't ask you to escape from life, but to meet it with clarity and purpose. And that begins with valuing your time like the treasure it is. Seneca once warned that people act as though they'll live forever, wasting their days like they have an endless supply. But the wise understand the truth. Each moment is an irreplaceable gift. And every moment holds the potential to grow, to act with virtue, and to become stronger in the face of life's storms. When you master time, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you naturally become someone who earns respect, not because you ask for it, but because you've built a life that commands it. When you begin to move through life with purpose and calm, something remarkable happens. Your presence alone begins to speak louder than your words. And from that place of composure, a deeper skill emerges, the ability to listen with intention. Strategy number 4, the power of active listening. In today's fast-paced world, where conversations often feel more like competitions than connections, true listening has become incredibly rare and incredibly powerful. Most people don't listen to understand, they listen to reply. They wait for their turn to speak, crafting responses in their minds before the other person has even finished talking. The Stoics knew better. They understood that genuine listening is a gateway to wisdom, humility, and emotional depth. It's not just a tool for better communication, it's a daily practice that builds inner strength and strengthens relationships. The depth of true listening. Ask yourself honestly, when someone speaks to you, are you fully present? Or are you distracted thinking about what you'll say next, checking your phone, or mentally drifting elsewhere? Imagine a friend coming to you in a vulnerable moment. They're sharing something painful, something real. You have two choices. You can offer a distracted nod while your mind is somewhere else, or you can pause everything, look them in the eye, and give them your full, undivided attention. When you choose the latter, something powerful happens. Person feels seen, they feel heard. And in that space, a real connection is formed. You're no longer just having a conversation, you're becoming a safe haven, a grounding presence in their moment of need. Listening, when done right, goes beyond the words. It tunes into body language, emotional undercurrents, the hesitations between sentences. It senses what's not being said, the stories tucked behind the silence, the pain hiding between phrases. Listening as an exercise in humility. True listening requires discipline. It demands that we quiet our own ego, set aside the need to always give advice or be the most insightful voice in the room. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Think about that. Wisdom doesn't come from talking. It comes from understanding. The person who constantly speaks learns very little. But the one who listens with focus and intent becomes a student of life, absorbing knowledge, gaining empathy, and refining their thoughts with each conversation. How to cultivate the discipline of active listening. Listening is not passive. It's a conscious practice, a skill that must be trained and sharpened. Here are 5 powerful ways to strengthen it. 1. Master your own mind first. Before entering a conversation, take a moment to ground yourself. Remind yourself that the goal isn't to impress, fix, or dominate, it's to understand. Let go of the need to interrupt or steer the discussion. Your task is to be fully there. 2. Be fully present. Listening goes far beyond hearing words. It involves watching facial expressions, noticing vocal tone, and observing energy shifts. Put away distractions. Resist the urge to mentally prepare your next point. Let your attention rest completely on the person in front of you. 3. Embrace silence. Don't rush to fill the empty spaces. Silence can be uncomfortable, but that's where depth often lives. Let the pauses breathe. It's in those quiet moments that people often find the courage to say what they really mean. 4. Ask Thoughtful questions. A good listener doesn't just absorb, they engage. Ask questions that encourage the speaker to explore their thoughts more deeply, not to guide them to your conclusion, but to help them uncover their own. 5. Listen to yourself. First, Stoicism teaches us to turn inward. Are your internal responses open and curious, or judgmental and reactive? Until you can listen to your own inner voice with patience and clarity, you won't truly be able to listen to others. The Stoic approach to conversation. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded himself to observe more than react, to seek understanding over control. In dialogue, that means letting go of the need to win, impress, or dominate. After all, the loudest voice is not the wisest. True wisdom is quiet, intentional, and speaks only when necessary. The true reward of listening. When you listen with genuine care, people notice. You become someone others trust, not because you have all the answers, but because you give them the space to find their own. Your words begin to carry more meaning, not because you speak often, but because when you do, it comes from a place of understanding. Once you learn to listen, not just with your ears but with your full presence, you begin to unlock a new kind of wisdom. And from that space of humility, another truth becomes clear. Growth never stops. Strategy number 5. Embrace lifelong learning. Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." This wasn't merely a piece of advice, it was a declaration of purpose. For those on the path of mastery, learning is not something you finish. It's a lifelong practice, a discipline of the mind and the soul. Education doesn't end when we leave the classroom. In truth, that's where real learning begins. The kind that matters most, the kind that shapes our thinking, our actions, and our character, is forged over a lifetime. It's a continuous, evolving journey. And those who choose to stay curious, to keep seeking, to remain students of life, those are the ones who grow stronger, wiser, and more centered with time. On the other hand, those who stop learning do more than just plateau, they begin to wither. Without growth, the mind becomes rigid. But a mind open to new ideas, fresh perspectives, and deeper understanding remains alive, nimble, adaptive, and quietly powerful. The discipline of ongoing self-improvement. Live along. Learning isn't just helpful, it's essential. It's what keeps us sharp, what keeps us humble, what allows us to refine our judgment, our values, and our actions. Knowledge isn't static, it's like a fire. If you stop feeding it, it dies out. When we dedicate ourselves to continuous improvement, we gain more than just information. We gain wisdom. And wisdom is knowing what truly matters, what to pursue, what to release, and what to let pass by. With that clarity, life becomes less chaotic and more purposeful. You stop reacting blindly and start responding with precision. This journey doesn't just benefit you, it increases your value to the people around you. A mind shaped by consistent learning becomes a wellspring of insight and clarity, something that others recognize and respect without you ever needing to say a word. The art of teaching as a path to mastery. Learning helps us grow, but teaching, sharing what we've learned, is what solidifies that growth. When you explain something to another person, you clarify it for yourself. Every lesson shared forces you to examine your beliefs, test your understanding, and take ownership of what you claim to know. Whether you're mentoring someone, offering advice, or simply leading by example, you're refining your own thinking in real time. This is why the Stoics place such importance on dialogue and reflection. Sharing knowledge isn't just generous, it's transformational. It turns abstract ideas into lived wisdom. Learning as the forge of character. This pursuit isn't just intellectual, it's deeply personal. True learning molds your character. It teaches patience, the kind that lets you sit in uncertainty without rushing toward conclusions. It nurtures gratitude, the recognition that even hardship has something to teach you. And it builds resilience, the strength to face difficulty, not with despair, but with a learner's mindset. For the Stoics, obstacles weren't just endured. They were studied, dissected, understood. Every problem was a lesson, every struggle a teacher, and every setback a chance to become more refined. Lifelong learning as a source of respecting a world filled with noise and empty confidence. The person who keeps learning stands apart. They don't need to boast. Their actions, their depth, their presence speak for them. People gravitate toward those who think deeply, speak thoughtfully, and act with wisdom, not impulse. It's not power or dominance that inspires lasting respect. It's depth. The quiet strength of someone who's well-read, well-practiced, and always evolving leaves a lasting impression. The commitment to growth. This path isn't quick. It's not easy. It demands humility, patience, and the courage to admit what we don't yet know. But the reward is great. When you choose to keep learning, not just for knowledge's sake, but to grow into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Build a life that is rich in both meaning and influence. Lifelong learning isn't about collecting information. It's about becoming someone of greater integrity, insight, and impact. As you continue refining your mind through lifelong learning, one truth becomes increasingly clear. True wisdom is not just about what you know, it's about who you are. And that's where authenticity begins. Strategy number 6. Embrace authenticity in a world overflowing with filters, curated personas, and performance for approval. Authenticity has become one of the rarest and most respected qualities a person can possess. Honesty is not always easy, but it's powerful. It requires courage, discipline, and a deep connection to your inner self. While many mold themselves to fit in, the few who stand rooted in who they truly are draw a different kind of respect, quiet, genuine, and lasting. Epictetus captured this beautifully when he said, "If you wish to be a writer, write." In other words, don't talk about who you want to be. Live it, do it, be it. Authenticity isn't a tactic or a brand, it's a way of life. It means removing the gap between your inner values and your outer behavior. When your words, actions, and beliefs align, you become whole. And that wholeness is magnetic. The cost of inauthenticity. The example of Patrick, a gifted graphic designer. At the beginning of his career, he shaped his art around what the market demanded. He was successful by most standards. Clients were happy, the money was flowing, but something inside him was missing. He felt disconnected, uninspired, even empty. Eventually, Patrick made a bold decision. He stopped designing to meet expectations. Instead, he poured his energy into work that truly expressed his vision, his personal creative identity. At first, he feared he would lose everything, but the opposite happened. His work began to stand out, not because it followed the crowd, but because it didn't. And that's the deeper truth. When you stop trying to fit in, you begin to stand out for the right reasons. You attract people who value you not for what you pretend to be, but for who you truly are. Authenticity as a mark of strength. Being authentic doesn't mean being reckless or careless. It doesn't mean abandoning growth or discipline. It means refining yourself into someone honest and unshakable. someone who stands for something, regardless of the crowd. People are drawn to those who are unapologetically themselves. Why? Because authenticity breeds trust. There's no hidden agenda, no performance, just presence, real presence. And that creates safety in others, because they know what they're seeing is real. By contrast, those who constantly seek approval through mimicry or trend chasing may receive momentary attention, but they often lose their sense of identity. In the process, their actions are shaped by what's popular today rather than what's timeless and true. That is not the Stoic way, the discipline of being yourself. Being yourself, especially in a world pushing you to conform, isn't easy. It takes strength to resist superficial trends, to choose truth over popularity, and to risk disapproval in favor of self-respect. But the alternative, living in contradiction, hiding behind a mask, leads to a life that feels hollow. To build a life rooted in authenticity, know yourself deeply. Take time for introspection. Identify your values, your strengths, and your passions. If you don't define yourself, others will do it for you. Align your actions with your values. Let your behavior reflect your beliefs. Don't just speak your values, live them. Let people see them through your decisions. Resist the need for constant approval. External validation is fleeting. What lasts is the inner confidence that comes from honoring your truth, even when it goes unnoticed. Be willing to stand alone. Not everyone will understand your path, and that's okay. Strength is often found in the willingness to walk it anyway. Authenticity as a legacy in a time when image is everything and deception often brings rewards. Living authentically is a quiet act of defiance. It's a refusal to be shaped by trends, to be controlled by the crowd, or to wear a mask just to be accepted. When you live true to who you are, you become irreplaceable, not because you're trying to be different, but because no one else can. Be you. That's what sets history's most respected minds apart. They didn't follow. They stood firm. Your authenticity doesn't just elevate your own life. It gives others permission to do the same. It ripples outward, shifting the culture, raising the standard, and showing that integrity, not image, is the foundation of real respect. And that is how you move beyond simply being liked to being remembered. Once you begin living with authenticity, grounded in truth and aligned with your values, a new kind of strength begins to emerge. The quiet power of what you choose not to reveal. Strategy number 7. Maintain a sense of mystery. Within every one of us lies a depth that cannot be fully captured. In words, a part of our inner world known only to ourselves. This unspoken aspect of our identity is not a flaw. It's a wellspring of quiet strength. Holding something back doesn't mean you're being deceptive. In fact, it's often an act of self-respect, preserving the sacred space of your own soul. To maintain a sense of mystery is to protect your essence. It's a way of cultivating presence that isn't loud or flashy, but deeply magnetic. A person who offers everything about themselves all at once, every opinion, every emotion, every detail, risks becoming unremarkable. Predictability leaves no room for intrigue. The power of the unknown. There's something inherently captivating about mystery. Human nature is drawn to what it doesn't fully understand. When you meet someone new, it's rarely their oversharing that fascinates you. It's their quiet confidence, their restraint, the subtle sense that there's more beneath the surface. It's not always what a person says that leaves a mark, it's what they choose not to say. The unanswered question, the unspoken thought, the quiet space between words. That's where Curiosity is born, on the other hand. People who disclose everything, who flood conversations with constant updates, emotional outbursts, or nonstop personal revelations, can lose the very presence they're trying to establish. When there's nothing left to discover, there's little reason to stay engaged. Revealing yourself in layers, think of yourself as a novel, a story worth reading. Great books don't reveal the ending in the first few pages. They build suspense. They draw you in. They unfold gradually. In the same way, let others learn about you slowly. Share enough to build connection, but not so much that there's no depth left to uncover. Let access to the deeper parts of you be earned through trust, consistency, and shared experience. In doing so, you protect your own worth and ensure that the relationships you form are rooted in genuine respect, not fleeting curiosity. Strength in silence. There is real authority in restraint. The person who speaks only when needed and chooses their words with care often commands more attention than those who speak constantly. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all practiced deliberate, measured speech. They believed in the power of silence. In a world full of noise, they knew that what is left unsaid can often carry more weight than anything spoken. We live in a time where many feel pressured to prove themselves through constant commentary. But true presence doesn't require explanation. The person who lets their actions, energy, and character speak for them will always stand out. Balancing mystery with substance. To be clear, mystery is not about emotional distance or pretending to be aloof. It's about being intentional. It's knowing when to speak and when to simply observe. It's about creating space for curiosity while grounding that space in real depth. Because mystery without substance is just emptiness wrapped in silence. So keep growing, keep learning, keep deepening your wisdom. So when you do speak, when you do open up, what you offer is rich, sincere, and unforgettable. The irresistible allure of depth. We're naturally drawn to people who don't chase approval, who don't explain themselves endlessly, who simply are anchored, calm, and aware of their own value. That's what makes a person magnetic, not performance, but presence. Not volume, but substance. When you reveal yourself slowly, intentionally, and with meaning, you build a kind of respect that lasts. A connection that doesn't fade. A quiet influence that draws others in, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're living in truth. And that, in the end, is far more powerful than being loud. Just as mystery invites others in without giving everything away, there's another trait that builds true influence quietly but powerfully. Your ability to hold back when it matters most. Strategy number 8. Practice discretion in an era where nearly every moment of life can be posted, shared, or live-streamed in real time. The ability to remain reserved is becoming increasingly rare and profoundly powerful. Modern culture encourages constant exposure. We're nudged to announce our achievements, share our frustrations, and broadcast our opinions for all to see. But Stoic wisdom reminds us that strength often lies in what we choose, not to say the power of restraint. There's an instinct many people carry, the urge to reveal, explain, or confess everything. Whether it's in social settings, text messages, or on social media, the impulse to be constantly understood can drive us to overexpose ourselves. We chase validation. We seek connection. And in doing so, we sometimes give away more than we should. But what if instead you paused? Moments of silence, moments of intentional restraint, create a kind of gravity. They command respect. They generate curiosity. And they protect your energy from being spent on things that don't deserve it. Seneca, one of the great Stoic minds, warned against thoughtless disclosure. He observed that the fool gives away everything without understanding its value, while the wise are careful, measured, and intentional. Not everything needs to be shared. Not every thought must be spoken aloud. Wisdom knows the difference. The advantage of keeping things private. I once knew an entrepreneur who had a pivotal decision to make. He was on the verge of launching a groundbreaking project in an industry filled with competition and imitation. He had every reason to shout about it, early build buzz, gain recognition, create momentum. But he didn't. He kept the details closely guarded, revealing them only to a select trusted circle. He understood that sharing too soon would invite unwanted interference. By staying quiet until the right moment, his project launched with maximum impact, catching competitors off guard and earning admiration from his peers. His silence wasn't about fear, it was about foresight. His restraint wasn't weakness, it was strategy. And his results? Proof that discretion is often more powerful than promotion. Discretion as a form of power. Being discreet is more than just a personality trait, it's a way of living with intention. Each time you're about to share something, ask yourself, does this serve my long-term goals? Will it build trust or chip away at my credibility? Am I speaking out of clarity or out of emotional impulse? If you're unsure, that may be your answer. Discretion doesn't mean secrecy or isolation. It means choosing your words carefully, understanding their impact, and guarding your energy wisely. The less people can predict your thoughts and moves, the more valuable your presence becomes. Wisdom and restraint. People who speak constantly, without filters, without discipline, often undermine their own influence. They open themselves up to misinterpretation, criticism, and unexpected consequences. But those who master the art of selective disclosure build something much stronger: trust, mystique, and credibility. They speak less but are heard more. Their words carry weight because they don't waste them. Discretion is also a powerful signal of self-respect. It shows confidence, maturity, and emotional intelligence. It says, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it to everyone. In a world where many are constantly trying to be seen, the one who holds back not out of fear, but out of wisdom stands apart. So let people wonder. Let them lean in. Let them seek you out, not because you shouted, but because your silence made them listen closer. Once you've learned to guard your words and share them only when they hold meaning, another powerful lesson comes into focus: how to accept, not just give, with grace and dignity. Strategy number 9. Embrace the art of receiving. We live in a world that often idolizes self-reliance. Strength is equated with independence, with the idea that asking for nothing and offering everything is the ultimate measure of character. But the truth is more nuanced and far more human. The Stoics understood something we often forget. Real strength lies not just in giving, but in receiving. In welcoming help, kindness, or guidance without guilt or shame. To receive with grace is not a sign of weakness, it's a powerful expression of humility, connection, and self-awareness. To accept is to acknowledge a fundamental truth. We are not isolated beings. We are part of something larger, a web of relationships, shared experiences, and mutual care. Receiving as a reflection of Stoic wisdom, true acceptance is an intentional act. It requires us to lower our walls and let others in, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's uncomfortable. It's about recognizing that while we strive for independence, We were never meant to walk through life entirely alone. The Stoics identified 5 principles that form the foundation of this discipline. Acknowledging interdependence, no one is entirely self-sufficient. Believing otherwise leads to arrogance and delusion. Accepting help doesn't make you less. It simply means you understand the reality that life is built on shared effort. Just as others lift you, there will be moments when you lift them. Cultivating gratitude. Every act of giving is an opportunity for gratitude. Instead of brushing off gestures of kindness or pretending we don't need them, we should embrace them. A simple, sincere acknowledgement strengthens the connection between giver and receiver. Nurturing humility to receive is to admit, I don't have all the answers. I have needs too. It grounds you. It softens pride. It reminds you that growth often comes from allowing yourself to be helped, guided, or even challenged. Enhancing community bonds. Accepting help is not a burden, it's a bridge. It shows trust. It invites closeness. It says, we are in this together. A community where people give and receive freely becomes one of real solidarity and mutual respect. Encouraging generosity in others. Think about the joy you feel when someone genuinely receives something you offer, a compliment, support, or a simple gesture. When we receive with grace, we give others the gift of knowing their kindness mattered. That cycle fuels deeper generosity for everyone involved. The discipline of accepting with grace. Despite this wisdom, many still struggle to receive. They worry. It makes them look weak, dependent, or incapable. But this fear leads only to emotional isolation. It builds invisible walls that separate us from the people who care. Receiving with grace is a practice, one you can cultivate every day. Acknowledge compliments with a simple thank you. Don't deflect or downplay. Accepting praise doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you real. Ask for help when it's needed. There is immense strength in saying, I could use some support here. Vulnerability opens doors that pride keeps shut. Welcome feedback. Constructive criticism is a gift that helps refine your thoughts, sharpen your actions, and develop your character. Express gratitude often and openly. Let people know their kindness mattered. It doesn't just strengthen relationships, it shapes the kind of person you become. Receiving as a virtue, not a weakness. Too often, we glorify the act of giving and view receiving as passive, even inferior. But this is a misconception. Both giving and receiving require awareness, intention, and humility. It takes courage to let yourself be seen not as perfect or self-contained, but as open, evolving, and human. And in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. After learning how to receive with humility and strength, we arrive at one of the most essential Stoic qualities, the inner force that carries you through storms when everything else falters. Resilience. Strategy number 10. Foster resilience and endurance. At the core of resilience is a simple, life-shaping realization. Some things are within your control, and many things are not. The Stoics taught that suffering doesn't always come from the events themselves, but from how we respond to them. When we resist what is beyond our power to change, we exhaust ourselves. But when we shift our focus to what we can influence, something remarkable happens. We become anchored, steady, grounded. In strength, resilience is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's not blind optimism or forced positivity. True resilience is the ability to accept reality as it is, without letting it break your spirit. It's choosing where to direct your energy, toward growth, toward clarity, and toward what actually matters. And when you embody this mindset, you don't just endure, you inspire. People feel your calm in the chaos. They see someone who isn't easily shaken. Someone who bends, but doesn't break. The power of acceptance without resignation. There's a critical distinction the Stoics made. Acceptance is not the same as surrender. To accept a situation doesn't mean you approve of it. It means you acknowledge the truth of it, and then decide where to act. You might not control what others think of you, but you do control how much space their opinions occupy in your mind. You might not prevent setbacks, but you can decide how you respond. You can't change the past, but you can choose the path forward. This is what builds endurance, not passively giving in, but actively choosing how you show up in the face of difficulty. Resilience is built through adversity. We don't become strong in comfort. Just like muscles grow when placed under strain, our inner strength grows when tested. Challenges, pain, disappointment, they're not interruptions to the journey. They are the journey. The Stoics knew this, and they trained for it. Literally, they practiced voluntary discomfort, not out of self-punishment, but to prepare their minds for life's unpredictability. Sleeping on the floor to remind themselves of how little they actually need. Fasting to prove they could function without comfort. Rehearsing loss or hardship in their minds so that when adversity arrived, it wouldn't feel like disaster, it would feel familiar. These weren't dramatic gestures. They were deliberate habits, rooted in the belief that strength isn't gifted. It's earned, turning adversity into advantage. What separates the broken from the unshaken is not what they face, it's how they frame it. To some, an obstacle is a dead end, a reason to give up. But to the Stoic, that same obstacle is a test, a step, a lesson, a forge for discipline and clarity. When you adopt this mindset, everything begins to change. Struggles become opportunities, hardships become training, and pain becomes progress. What once seemed like a curse can transform into one of your greatest advantages. The presence of a resilient individual. When you truly cultivate resilience, people notice without you saying a word. You begin to carry an energy that speaks of stability, of groundedness, of someone who won't fall apart when the pressure builds. In moments of panic or uncertainty, others look to you, not because you boast of strength, but because you embody it. As we've seen, resilience is not just about surviving, it's about standing strong, becoming wiser, and inspiring others through your presence. That presence, over time, becomes your legacy. Strength that leaves a legacy. The strongest individuals aren't those who dodge life's challenges. They are the ones who face them head-on and transform those trials into fuel for growth. They don't just survive hardship, they rise because of it. They turn pain into power and setbacks into stepping stones. When you walk through fire and come out not burned, but refined, you become something more than just tough. You become an example, a symbol of what's possible when courage meets discipline. And when others witness this in you, they don't just admire your strength, they're moved by it. They begin to believe in their own strength. Your endurance becomes a light that others follow. When their path grows dark, it's not only the fact that you overcame adversity that will inspire people. It's how you carry yourself afterward, with wisdom, clarity, and purpose. The mountains you once feared become visible markers of your journey. And through your example, they become navigational tools for others as well, bringing the journey together. Now, take a moment to reflect on what we've walked through together. These 10 strategies, each one rooted in the timeless strength of Stoic philosophy, are more than habits or techniques. They are a blueprint for transformation. They don't just shape how others perceive you, they redefine how you see yourself. Because true value isn't demanded, it's developed. Respect isn't begged for, it's earned. And influence? It's never forced, it's the natural result of inner mastery. Your journey is your own. No one else can walk it for you. But ask yourself, what insight will you carry from this? How will you begin to live differently, more calmly, more intentionally, more powerfully? So keep rising, keep refining, keep showing the world that your strength isn't loud, it's unshakable. And remember, storms don't break you when you become the mountain. We'll be right here walking beside you every step of the way.